Hey toy fans, Aaron here. Today taking a look at the Mon Calamari Officer, released on the Power of the Jedi line back in the year 2000. Taking a look at the front of the card where this was the first line that was bridging the prequel trilogy with the original trilogy, giving you Obi-Wan and Darth Vader in the upper left side. Through the blister you see your included figure, and then off on the left side is the Jedi Force file that came with the Power of the Jedi line. And then here's a look at the back side of the card where on the top right side, you get a write-up about what I already mentioned, the bridging of the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. And then below that, you're getting a look at the back side of the Jedi Force file, which is giving you some information about the character and his statistics. And then off on the left half of the card, you're getting a showing of 16 other figures that were available in the line at this time. And now taking a look at the figure out of the packaging, overall, it's not a horrible figure. But for one that was done in the Power of the Jedi line, it is very reminiscent of the Power of the Force line. And one of the reasons for that is, well, the Admiral Akbar figure that was released in, I think, 97, kind of makes up the bulk of this figure. Here's those two figures side by side, and even though this one's sporting a helmet, it is removable. The facial sculpting is the same. This particular figure does get a new right arm. You screen left as you look at it, and is now able to hold a weapon. The left arm looks the same between the two figures. The chest of the figure, I mean, it's similarly sculpted at least. The only difference is the ranking badge between the two characters. Otherwise, the rest of the detailing as far as the wrinkles and seam placement and stuff seems identical to me. The legs between the two figures looks identical. Also, the only difference though are the feet. And even though it's all part of the same plastic, this new figure has tennis shoes, whereas Admiral Akbar looks like he's got some nice white dress shoes on. So I don't know how they handle the sculpting when they do minimal changes like this, because there's so much the same and yet you're still getting a few elements within the plastic that's different. So if any of you know what they do, I'd kind of like to know. Focusing in though just on this figure, you know, the sculpting's still good, even though I still feel like it looks like the Power of the Force line where he's just got a little bit more of a beefy stance to it. He's certainly still not as muscular as the figures were when they were initially released. Looking at the sculpting of the head, well, first up, just go ahead and start with the helmet. And as I said, it is removable, but with it on, it does hug the back and top of the head very well. So you're not going to need to worry about it falling off. Simple design to it, mostly just smooth plastic, kind of sculpted or angled back with this little ridge on the top and just a few lines of black paint in there. Sliding that off, getting you a better look at the head sculpting. Overall, things looking pretty good. Sculpting for the skin detailing looks great. I think the lines around the eyes, through the nostrils and mouth and through the chin are just very well defined. I like the painting of the darker colors running across the top of the head, and eye painting looks great also. I like the touch of dark brown running on the outer edges of the eye. As far as the sculpting for the arms, here also things for the most part very simple, but still looks good. I'd say about 3/4 of the arm is just made up of a brown costume, so you're just getting your sculpted folded fabric in there, and then getting down to his claw hands, where the detailing, like I said, does look good. Similar dark spots that we had painted on the top of his head are being done on the sides of each forearm. So it matches up with each of the three parts of his skin that are showing, being both forearms and then his head. Chest, kind of already talked about already. You're just getting his ranking badge being sculpted in there. Otherwise, mostly smooth plastic being sculpted. It's just some very fine waves. Gives it a little bit of dimension. Around the waist is just, it's kind of the ugliest part of this figure, really. It's almost non-existent. It goes from this belt. You've got a gap in there of essentially just this thin T plastic bar until you hit the leg. So it just doesn't come together well. The light blue painting for that belt isn't too bad either, mostly staying right where it needs to be. It just doesn't skim over the edges to the plastic that you're seeing, so the top and the bottom sides of his belt isn't painted at all. And then for the legs, pretty normal sculpting here, lots of wrinkles and folds being done in the fabric. And then getting down to his shoes where it's not too bad of detail being done. Certainly looks like sculpted tennis shoes. You can make out the laces and even the fact that the laces are tied in a knot. As far as articulation, your head spins basically shoulder to shoulder. The collar is too narrow for his head to be able to spin all the way around. Shoulders go a full 360, full swivel at the waist, and then the legs come straight out and go a little bit back. As for accessories, it comes with a single blaster. You get a fair amount of detailing within the sculpt, so it looks really good. Probably a bit oversized, but I think things were still kind of like that in the line. No special weathering or anything to it, just your dark gray plastic. And thankfully this time around the figure is able to actually hold on to his weapon without it being sculpted with this little arm brace to help hold on to it. And then here's a look at that Jedi Force file where on the front you got a picture of the officer. That's what you saw sticking out through the card. Opening it up reveals his statistics, his various skills, the gear that he uses, the tech that he uses, little application for your Jedi Quest Kids Club. And then on the backside, you get a look at his allies and enemies, adventures he's been on, and there's the vital statistics that you saw from the backside of the card. So overall, for me, it's a decent looking figure. A little unfortunate that it still resembles so much of the Power of the Force line, especially since it was released in Power of the Jedi, where things were kind of getting a little more appropriately scaled for the body type. But then on the flip side, he does obviously match up very well with Admiral Akbar. So sitting on your shelves or playing together, you do have some consistency there. Proportions of the body sculpting aside, it is still a very nicely detailed figure as far as the head and hands are concerned. So that wraps this one up. Definitely let me know what you think of this figure in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.